The metal sign reads, Population 847, but nobody's counted in years. Some say it's less now, some say it's more. Small towns in Pennsylvania have a way of keeping secrets, buried deep in the valleys, hidden behind old churches and rusted train tracks. And tonight, you're going to hear 10 of them, stories that never made the news. Stories that people only whisper about when the sun goes down. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Here at Chills from Reality, every story leaves a mark. One you might not forget. The air in Centralia is wrong. That's what Michael told me. Not bad, not toxic, just wrong. Like breathing through a wet cloth on a humid day. He'd gone there on a dare in 2019, him and 2 friends from Bloomsburg. The town's been burning since 1962, an underground coal fire that never stopped. The government evacuated everyone decades ago, condemned the whole place. But the roads are still there, cracked and smoking, and so are some of the houses. They parked near the old Route 61, where the asphalt buckles and steam rises through the cracks. It was October, cold. But the ground was warm when Michael stepped out of the car. Unnaturally warm, like standing on skin. His friend Jake laughed, said it felt like walking on a sleeping giant. Michael didn't laugh. Something about the place made his throat tight. The houses that remained stood hollow, windows dark, doors hanging open. Graffiti covered every surface, warnings, jokes, symbols he didn't recognize. They walked toward the center of town, past a church that somehow still stood. White paint peeling, bell tower leaning. And that's when Michael saw the girl. She was standing in the doorway of a house at the end of the street. Maybe 10 years old, blonde hair, blue dress, just standing there, watching them. Michael stopped. His friends didn't notice her. They kept walking, laughing about something. But Michael couldn't move because the girl wasn't blinking. She was too still, too pale, and the house behind her, the windows were boarded shut. He called out to her, asked if she was okay. She didn't respond, didn't move, just stared. Then slowly she raised one hand and pointed behind him. Michael turned. Nothing, just empty road and rising smoke. When he looked back, she was gone. The doorway was empty. His friends hadn't seen her. They said he was seeing things, smoke inhalation maybe. But when they got back to the car, Michael noticed something. On the hood, in the ash and soot, 5 small handprints, child-sized, still warm. They left Centralia that night and never went back. But Michael still dreams about her, the girl in the doorway. And sometimes, late at night, he swears he can smell smoke in his bedroom, even though there's no fire, no reason for it, just the smell, clinging to his sheets, his skin, like Centralia followed him home. In the woods outside McConnellsburg, there's a property that doesn't exist on any map. No address, no tax records, just a dirt road that splits off from Route 522 and disappears into the trees. The locals call it the clearing, and they don't talk about it unless you ask directly. Even then, most won't. Sarah found out about it by accident. She was a realtor, new to the area, doing research on land sales in 2021. She noticed a gap in the property lines, a blank space between 2 farms, nearly 40 acres, unaccounted for. She asked around, got vague answers. Old family land. Nobody goes there. Best leave it alone. But Sarah was curious. She drove out one afternoon in late November, found the turnoff. A rusted chain across the road, but no lock, no signs. She moved the chain and drove in. The trees closed in fast, thick and dark, no sound but her tires on wet leaves. After a mile, the road opened into a clearing, and in the center stood a house, large, Victorian style, windows intact, paint faded, but not ruined, like someone still lived there. But the grass was waist-high, no cars, no movement. Sarah parked and got out. The air was cold, too cold. Her breath came out in clouds. She walked toward the house, called out. No answer. The front door was unlocked. It opened with a soft creak. Inside, the house was furnished completely. Couch, tables, pictures on the walls. But everything was covered in dust, thick layers, like nobody had been there in decades. Yet the furniture looked new. Modern, even. A flat-screen TV in the living room, a laptop on the kitchen table. But dead. No power. She walked upstairs. The floorboards didn't creak. They were solid, well-maintained. 3 bedrooms, all furnished, all empty. But in the last room at the end of the hall, Sarah found something. A journal sitting on a nightstand. She opened it. The entries were dated. Recent. The last one was from 3 days ago. It read, "They're coming again tonight. I hear them in the trees. Circling. I don't know how much longer I can stay quiet." Sarah's hands went cold. She closed the journal and left the room, walked quickly down the stairs, but when she reached the bottom, she froze because the front door was closed. She'd left it open. She was sure of it. She crossed the room and pulled the handle. Locked from the inside. The kind of lock that needs a key. A key she didn't have. She tried the back door. Locked. The windows. Locked. Every single one. Panic set in. She pulled out her phone. No signal. She went back to the living room, tried to calm down. Think. And that's when she heard it. Footsteps upstairs, slow, deliberate, walking from room to room. Sarah ran to the front door and slammed her shoulder into it. Once, twice, it gave. She stumbled outside and sprinted to her car. Didn't look back. Drove down that dirt road faster than she should have. When she reached Route 522, she pulled over and called the police. They took her statement, said they'd check it out. But when she called back the next day, they said they couldn't find the property. No clearing, no house, no dirt road off 522, just trees. Sarah went back herself a week later, drove up and down the highway for an hour. The turnoff was gone. No chain, no road, nothing. Just forest, thick and unbroken. She still has the journal. She took it with her. The entries continue. Even though she's not in that house, new words appear every few days. Always at night, always the same handwriting. The last entry she showed me read, "You shouldn't have opened the door. Johnstown is known for the flood. 1889, over 2,000 dead." But what most people don't know is what's been happening in the old Cambria Iron Company building. It's been abandoned since the 70s. 6 stories, brick and steel, windows shattered. But the structure's sound. Trey worked security for a development company in 2020. They were planning to renovate it, turn it into lofts. He was assigned night shifts, make sure nobody broke in, mostly kids and urban explorers. The first 2 weeks were quiet. He'd walk the perimeter, check the doors, sit in his car and scroll his phone. But on the 3rd Monday, he heard something, a sound from inside, like metal dragging on concrete. He radioed it in. His supervisor told him to check it out. So Trey grabbed his flashlight and went in through the side entrance. The air inside was damp, cold, smelled like rust and old oil. He called out. No response. The dragging sound stopped. He moved through the first floor. Empty. Just debris and old machinery. He went to the stairs. That's when he heard it again. Dragging. But now it was above him. 2nd floor. Trey climbed the stairs. Slow, his flashlight beam cutting through the dark. The 2nd floor was open. A wide space with support beams and broken windows. And there, in the far corner, he saw someone. A man. facing the wall. Not moving! Trey's heart kicked. He called out, "Hey, you can't be in here!" The man didn't turn, didn't respond. Trey stepped closer. "Sir, this is private property!" Still nothing. He got within 10 feet. And then he saw it. The man wasn't standing on the floor. His feet were 6 inches off the ground, hovering. Trey's flashlight flickered. The man turned his head, slowly, too slowly, and Trey saw his face, or what was left of it. Skin gray, eyes sunken, mouth open, but no sound. Trey ran. He didn't stop running until he was outside. He quit the next day, told his boss there was no amount of money worth going back in there. The company hired someone else, a guy named Marcus. He lasted 2 nights. On the second night, he called 911, said there were people inside, dozens of them, all standing in the same corner, all facing the wall. Police arrived, searched the building. Found nothing. No people, no evidence anyone had been there. But Marcus wouldn't go back. Neither would the next guy, or the one after that. The development company gave up. The building still stands, empty, and sometimes, late at night, people driving past say they see lights moving inside. On the second floor, just lights, drifting, like someone's walking through. But nobody's ever there. In a town called Lewisburg, there's a diner off Route 15. It's been there since the 60s. Red booths, checkered floors, open 24 hours. Ellie started working there in 2018. Night shifts, 11 to 7. It was quiet work, mostly truckers and insomniacs. The owner, an old man named Dutch, told her one rule. If someone comes in after 3 a.m. and orders coffee, black, no sugar, don't talk to them. Just pour. Don't ask questions. Ellie thought it was a weird rule, but Dutch was serious. He said it 3 times before her first shift. She didn't understand, not until the first time it happened. It was a Thursday, 3:15. The bell above the door chimed. A man walked in, middle-aged, plain face, jeans and a flannel shirt. He sat at the counter, didn't look at the menu. Ellie walked over. "What can I get you?" He looked at her. His eyes were dark, empty. "Coffee? Black. No sugar." Ellie remembered the rule. She didn't say anything, just poured the coffee and set it down. The man didn't touch it, just stared at it for 10 minutes. Then he stood up, left a $5 bill on the counter, and walked out. Ellie watched him through the window. He crossed the parking lot. And then he was gone, just vanished, mid-step, like he walked through a door that wasn't there. It happened again 2 weeks later. Different man, same order, same behavior. He sat, stared at the coffee, left money, walked out, disappeared. Ellie asked Dutch about it. He sighed, looked tired. "They're not really here," he said. "Not anymore. They died on this road years ago, accidents. They come back, looking for something. I don't know what. But if you talk to them, they stay." Ellie didn't understand. "Stay how?" Dutch shook his head. "You don't want to know." One night, Ellie broke the rule. A woman came in, 3:15 a.m., ordered coffee, black, no sugar. Ellie poured it. But then, without thinking, she asked, "Long night?" The woman looked at her, smiled. "You could say that." Her voice was soft, hollow. "Where are you headed?" Ellie asked. The woman's smile faded. She stood up, walked toward the door, but she didn't leave. She stopped in the doorway, turned around, and looked at Ellie. "You shouldn't have asked." Then she walked back to the counter, sat down, and hasn't left since. Ellie doesn't work there anymore. She quit the next morning, but she still drives past sometimes, and every time she sees the woman sitting at the counter, staring at a cup of cold coffee. Dutch says she'll sit there until someone makes the same mistake, until someone else asks her a question. Then maybe she'll leave. Maybe. Would you have followed the rule? North of Scranton, there's a stretch of railroad that hasn't been used since 1974. The tracks are still there, rusted, overgrown, but intact. In 2017, a group of college students decided to walk them. Urban exploration. They'd heard stories, lights in the tunnel, voices, the usual stuff. They didn't believe it. 4 of them, Ryan, Becca, Amos, and Jenna. They started at dusk. The tunnel was about a mile in. Old stone, single track. They brought flashlights, a camera. By the time they reached the tunnel, it was dark. The mouth of it gaped open, black, cold air rolling out. They hesitated, but they'd come this far. They walked in. The sound changed immediately. Their footsteps echoed, loud. The air smelled like wet stone and something else. Something rotting. Ryan led. Becca followed. Amos filmed on his phone. Jenna brought up the rear. They were halfway through when they heard it. A train horn, distant, but getting closer. They stopped, looked at each other. "No way," Becca said. "This line's been dead for decades." But the sound was real, growing louder. The ground started to vibrate. Ryan turned. "Run!" They ran, back toward the entrance. The horn blared again, closer, deafening. The vibration became a rumble. Jenna looked back, and she saw it. Light, bright, white, filling the tunnel, bearing down on them. They sprinted, lungs burning. The light was so close she could feel heat on her back. They burst out of the tunnel and dove off the tracks, landed hard in the dirt. The horn screamed. And then, silence. No train, no light, just the empty tracks, stretching into the dark. They were shaking. Amos checked his phone. The video was corrupted, just static. But the audio was there. And when he played it back, they heard something. Underneath the horn, underneath their screaming, voices, dozens of them, whispering the same thing over and over. "Stay on the tracks, stay on the tracks, stay on the tracks." They never went back, but Jenna still has nightmares. She dreams she's in the tunnel, and this time, she doesn't run. She stays on the tracks. And the light gets closer and closer, and just before it hits, she wakes up, drenched in sweat, heart pounding, and somewhere far away, she hears a train horn. There's a church in a town called Jim Thorpe, St. Michael's, built in 1852, still active, services every Sunday. But there's something wrong with the basement. The congregation doesn't use it, hasn't in years. Father Dom has been there since 2005. He's a quiet man, keeps to himself. But in 2019, a new deacon arrived. Younger guy, eager. His name was Patrick. He asked about the basement, why it was locked. Father Dom told him, "We don't go down there." Patrick laughed, thought it was a joke. It wasn't. One evening, Patrick found the key. Old iron, hanging in the office. He went down. The stairs were steep, wood creaking under his weight. The basement was larger than he expected. Stone walls, low ceiling, damp. There were boxes, old hymnals, broken furniture, and at the far end, a door. Heavy wood, no handle, just a latch. Patrick walked toward it. His footsteps echoed. He reached for the latch. And then he heard singing, faint, coming from behind the door. A hymn, but the words were wrong, backwards. He pressed his ear to the door. The singing stopped. Silence, and then a voice, a child's voice. "Let me out." Patrick stepped back. "Who's there?" No answer. He tried the latch. It didn't budge. "Hello?" The voice came again. Closer. "Please, let me out. I've been here so long." Patrick ran upstairs. Found Father Dom, told him what he heard. Father Dom's face went pale. He grabbed Patrick by the shoulders. "You didn't open it, did you?" Patrick shook his head. "Good. Don't ever open it." Patrick demanded an explanation. Father Dom sighed, sat down. In 1921, a boy went missing, 7 years old. They searched for weeks, found nothing. Then one night, the priest at the time heard scratching in the basement. Behind that door, he opened it, found the boy, or what was left of him. But when he tried to bring him out, the boy wouldn't leave. He screamed, clawed at the walls, begged to stay. They pulled him out anyway. He died 2 hours later. But ever since, people hear him singing, scratching, asking to be let out. Patrick left the church that night, didn't come back. Father Dom still locks the basement. But sometimes, during Sunday service, when the congregation sings, you can hear another voice. Faint, underneath, singing along. A child's voice. And the words are always backwards. In a small town near Gettysburg, there's a house on Barlow Street. Number 47. It's been for sale since 2016. The price keeps dropping, but nobody buys it. Anna almost did. She was looking for a place in 2020. Saw the listing. Victorian, 3 bedrooms, cheap. She scheduled a viewing. The realtor, a woman named Diane, met her there. The house was beautiful, hardwood floors, original fixtures. But it was cold, even though it was July. Anna noticed. Diane didn't comment. They walked through the first floor. Living room, kitchen, dining room. Everything looked perfect. Then they went upstairs. The second bedroom was at the end of the hall. Diane opened the door, and Anna froze because she'd been in this room before. She knew the wallpaper, the window, the closet. She dreamed about it for years, since she was a child. The same room. Exact, down to the crack in the ceiling. She felt dizzy. Diane asked if she was okay. Anna nodded, but she wasn't. She walked to the window, looked out, and saw herself. Standing in the yard, looking up, her own face staring back. She stumbled back. "I need to leave." Diane frowned. "Is something wrong?" Anna didn't answer. She ran downstairs, out the front door, got in her car. Diane followed, confused. Anna drove away, never looked back. But that night, she dreamed about the room again. And this time, she was standing in the yard, looking up at the window. And in the window, she saw herself, looking down, terrified. The dreams haven't stopped. Every night, the same loop. Her in the room, her in the yard, watching herself. Trapped. She called Diane a week later, asked who lived there before. Diane hesitated, then said, "A woman? She died in that room. In 2015, they say she saw herself in the yard. And when she went outside to check, she never came back in. They found her body a week later in the yard. But when they went into the room, they found her again in the bed, like she'd never left." Anna hasn't driven past that street since. But sometimes, late at night, she wakes up, and for just a second, she's not sure if she's in her bed or if she's standing in a yard somewhere, staring up at a window, watching herself sleep. Outside a town called Emporium, there's a bridge. Single lane, steel, over a creek. It's called Miller's Bridge, built in 1932, still in use. But there's a problem. People disappear there. Not often, not enough to make news, but enough that the locals know. Don't stop on Miller's Bridge. Don't get out of your car. And never, ever walk across it at night. Tom didn't know the rules. He was passing through in 2018, late October. His car broke down right in the middle of the bridge. He tried to start it. Nothing. No cell service. He got out, looked around. The creek below was shallow, barely moving. The trees on either side were dense, dark. He decided to walk, find help. He made it 10 steps before he heard footsteps behind him. He turned. Nobody there. Just the empty bridge. He kept walking. The footsteps continued, matching his pace, closer. He stopped. They stopped. He ran. They ran. Tom sprinted to the end of the bridge, reached the road, looked back, and saw a figure standing in the middle of the bridge, where his car was, tall, thin, featureless, just a shape, watching. Tom ran into the trees, didn't stop until he found a house, pounded on the door. An old man answered. Tom explained. The man's face darkened. "You stopped on the bridge." Tom nodded. The man shook his head. "You shouldn't have done that." He let Tom use his phone, called a tow truck. But when they went back to the bridge the next morning, the car was gone. No sign of it, no skid marks, no broken glass, just the empty bridge. Tom reported it stolen, but the police never found it. And 3 weeks later, Tom got a letter. No return address. Inside was a photo, his car, sitting in the middle of Miller's Bridge. And in the driver's seat, someone was sitting, a figure, tall, thin, featureless. Tom moved out of state the next month. But every year, on the anniversary, he gets another letter. Same photo, same car, same figure. And every year, the figure is a little closer to the camera. Near a town called Bedford, there's a farm. Been in the same family for over 100 years. The Harpers. They grow corn mostly. Quiet people. Keep to themselves. But in 2016, something changed. The youngest son, Marcus, started acting strange. He'd wake up in the middle of the night, walk out to the fields, stand there for hours. His parents would find him in the morning, barefoot, covered in dew. He didn't remember. Said he was dreaming, but the sleepwalking got worse. Every night, same spot, middle of the field, standing, staring. His mother, Linda, got worried. Took him to a doctor. They ran tests. Found nothing. Brain scans, blood work, all normal. But Marcus kept walking. One night, Linda followed him, watched from the porch. Marcus walked into the field, stopped, and then he knelt, like he was listening. Linda called out to him. He didn't respond. She walked closer, and that's when she heard it. A voice. Coming from the ground, faint, muffled, calling Marcus's name. Linda froze. Marcus started digging, with his hands clawing at the dirt. Linda ran to him, pulled him back. He fought her, screaming, "They're calling me! I have to answer! I have to answer!" They brought him inside, locked the doors, but he broke a window, ran back to the field. By the time they caught him, he dug a hole 3 feet deep. And at the bottom, Linda saw something, a hand, pale, reaching up. She screamed. Marcus grabbed it and pulled. The hand pulled back. Linda and her husband dragged Marcus away, called the police. When they arrived, they excavated the area. Found a body, a man, dead for at least 30 years. No ID, no missing person match. But his hand was reaching up, like he'd been buried alive, clawing to get out. Marcus hasn't walked since that night. He's 26 now, but he doesn't leave his room, doesn't speak, just sits by the window, staring out at the field. And sometimes, late at night, Linda hears him whisper, "They're still calling! They're still calling!" The last story comes from a town so small it doesn't have a name. Just a crossroads, a gas station, a post office, and one diner. In 2022, a man named Ethan drove through. He'd been on the road for 2 days, needed coffee. He pulled into the diner. It was empty. One waitress, older woman. She smiled when he walked in, poured him coffee without asking. Ethan sat at the counter, looked around. The place felt off, like a movie set. Too perfect, too clean. The waitress didn't say anything, just stood behind the counter, watching him. Ethan drank his coffee, left a 10, walked out. He got in his car, started the engine, and then he noticed the gas station across the street. It was gone, just an empty lot. He looked back at the diner. The lights were off. The sign was missing. He got out, walked to the door, locked. He peered through the window. Empty. No tables, no counter, just bare walls. Ethan's hands started shaking. He ran to his car, drove fast. He didn't stop until he hit the highway. Pulled into a rest stop, checked his phone. No signal. He asked a trucker, "Is there a town back there with a diner?" The trucker shook his head. "Nothing out there but fields, man." Ethan never found that crossroads again, but he still has the receipt. From the diner, dated 2022, except when he looks at it now, the date's wrong. It says 1987, and at the bottom, in faded ink, someone wrote, "Come back soon." Small towns in Pennsylvania keep their secrets. And sometimes, those secrets keep you. If this story made your heart race, hit that like button and subscribe. Because here at Chills from Reality, the fear doesn't end when the story does. Every town has a shadow, every road has a ghost, and every story we tell leaves something behind. Something that doesn't let go. Stay in the dark with us. Because out there, in those quiet towns where the lights flicker and the fog rolls in, something is always watching, always waiting, and maybe, just maybe, it's waiting for you.